Hi there everybody, and welcome to another video here at Daring Beefcake. Today I have this Volvo XC70. This is a 2008 model. I'm going to be changing the oil and the oil filter. This is a D5, so it's a diesel engine. I think it's a 2.4. And if we just look at the manual here under maintenance and specifications, oil grade recommended ACEA A5 or B5, and viscosity that they recommend is 0W30. Also, the D5 takes 6 liters, and it says here that the volume between the minimum and the maximum is 1.5. I'm guessing that is measuring the dipstick, but anyway, 6 liters because I'm changing the oil and I'm changing the oil filter. I'm also going to be changing the air filter here. There's other fluids here. There is a gearbox, oil, transmission, automatic, and it says it takes 7 liters if you were going to do that, but I'm not doing that today. So I just warmed up the car a little bit so the oil can come out a little bit easier, and we're going to tackle the air filter from up here, obviously, and also we'll just take this cover out. This cover literally just pops out, comes out there like so. Pull the dipstick here, and also the oil filter is sitting just here. So that oil filter, the one that I've got, is this one here, VFL 498. But and obviously my air filter is this Bosch one. But make sure you have, obviously, if you have the same exact engine, then these parts will be okay. If you have a slightly different one, different year or whatever, the parts may not be suitable for your car. So always go by the registration number or your chassis when you buy the parts. So let's get on with the let's do the filter first, the air filter, and then we'll concentrate on the oil and the oil filter. For the air filter, we need to remove some Phillips screws that are sitting around, and then this cover comes up. I have, although I have Phillips screws here, that they all seem to be of different type. I think the original ones may have been Torx screws, because I have one Torx there and one in the front. They are T25s, so I think maybe the original ones were T25s. But well, not much I can do. This car is done 200,000 miles, so I'm pretty sure we can forgive that it's got different sizes of screws. So that's my air filter. Now it might be a good idea to clean in there a little bit before we fit our new filter. Just gave that a bit of a clean so I can get my new filter in there, and obviously it just goes in that direction. So I'm gonna put it in there because I'm gonna need my 2 hands, and then just close the little screws around. So once you have your filter on, we move on to the oil filter, and for that you're gonna need a 36mm socket like this in order to get it onto there, to be able to open that. And also, well, I'm just using my extension through the top here to get to that, and then obviously I'm gonna get my ratchet in there, and so we can open that filter. So I don't know how tight it might be or it might not be considering the mileage, but it might need my 2 hands. Okay, I'll give this a go. It's pretty tight, to be honest. Right. Nice. Come loose. To be honest, I guess it's just been sitting there a while, so that's why it's a bit tight, but they don't normally get tightened too much. I think it's reading on the cover, it just says 25 Newton meters, so that shouldn't be a lot of force, to be honest. Right. So the cap and the filter should come out together, but in this case my filter was staying in there, but okay, got it out. There it is. That's the filter there. So just disposing of that. Just give this a little clean, and we'll also remove the O-ring that's around here. So you should get a new O-ring with a new filter. Right, I just gave that bit of a clean. We can take this old O-ring out, and then we're going to fit a new O-ring. Got a new O-ring there. So normally the O-rings are black, but some manufacturers make them slightly of different color. Right, so plug that in there. So this is ready to go back in, but I'm also going to put a little bit of oil around this O-ring, or I'm actually going to use some multi-purpose grease before I put the filter back in. And before I actually put the filter back in, I'm going to drain the oil. Right, so that's where the filter came out from. And also I'm just going to open the oil filler cap here as well, just to allow some extra air into the system while we drain the oil from underneath. So looking at the cap from underneath, we have this cover here which we want to remove. So I just removed a few of the Torx screws that are around. These are T25s or T30s, T25. I'm using a T25 to get them out. So we can take this cover out and obviously get the sump plug in there. So don't forget to get an oil pan as well for your oil. So I'm just going to remove this cover and then drain the oil. With the cover out, we reveal the sump, and we need a 17mm socket to open the sump plug bolt, which is sitting just here. So I'm going to just crack that open. It just appears to be a little bit tight. Okay. Was a little bit tight, but not too bad. Okay, get your sump, get your oil pan underneath, obviously, so you can catch the oil. So technically we should get sort of 6 liters coming out of here. So I'm just gonna let that drain and clean my bolt here. You may notice that there is a very squashed O-ring in this sunplug bolt. So maybe I'm gonna try to remove it so I can fit a new one. Hopefully I have a new one. So you can see is that silver there. Right, so this is the washer that came out of there. I don't know if this is like a specific type of washer. I don't know, but anyway, I have another one here to put in there. It might get squashed like this, I guess, but if I find that there's any leaks, I may need to go to Volvo's and get one of those. It might be next year now, but in any case, I'm going to fit this one and see how it seals. But of course, if you are watching the video in advance, then you can be prepared. You can actually go and buy a new washer. So I was just checking the torque setting for this bolt while I was waiting. It says 38 Newton meters. Now I don't normally use a torque wrench because I'm doing these things all the time. However, if you're new to this and you're doing it for the first time or whatever, then it might be a good idea to get a torque wrench and torque this to the correct setting. You can do a little bit of research as well on Google, see what the torque setting is. That's what I found, but you never know, you could find different figures. Sometimes there is different opinions out there, but usually I mean they range between 25 to 40 Newton meters. It just depends on the car. That's the thing. I'm doing all different cars all the time. Some of these are 13 mil size, some are 14, this is 17, some VWs are 19 mil, so it's just all different, but there we are. So now I'm going to fit the cover back here, and we can then go back up and top up some oil. In fact, I may not just yet fit the cover here. I'll put the oil and then I'll just make sure I don't have any leaks here, but obviously before that I'm gonna clean that as well, because I'm a little bit suspicious of the washer here. So if we can have that area nice and clean. This is a brake and clutch fluid cleaner, by the way. It's just the fluid for cleaning usually brake stuff, but it's very good for all of this. Right, so I'm gonna leave it like that, let it dry, and then yeah, put some oil. So before we top up some oil, I just got my funnel on there. We're going to fit our filter back in here, and it just look at the cap here, it says 25.5 Newton meters. So again, if you're not used to that sort of force, which isn't a lot when you're applying it with a 36 mil socket, it's a good idea to use a torque wrench. So I just put the filter in by hand as much as I can, just making sure it's going nice and straight, and it doesn't get, if it gets stuck in a weird position and you force it with your ratchet, is going to be damaged, so make sure you don't damage that thread, otherwise you'll have to buy a filter. It's a plastic cover, so yeah, best to avoid damaging anything. Oh, got my socket there, and we can just do the last bit with the ratchet, and that's the bit where the O-ring is going in there basically, which I put some multi-purpose grease as I mentioned, and then we just tighten that. And as I said, be sure to use a torque wrench if you're not sure of the force. So I'm just going to remove that now, and then we put some oil. Right, so this is the oil that I'm using. I'm actually using 5W30 rather than 0W30 that it was recommended on the book, and the reason for that is because I found so much carbon formed on the throttle body that I think that oil is a bit too thin, so I just want to use this slightly thicker one. It's the same as the Toyota Prius, which they recommend 0W20, and actually in the past few years when I went to buy some oil from Toyota, they said use 5W30 because the 0W20 is so thin, it starts sort of burning, and it starts accumulating in the form of carbon all around the and blocking the EGR valve basically, and then you have this noise. Well, I had the similar problem with this car. The throttle body got completely blocked, so but you can see there they used to use, well, they were using 0W30, and that was 2022 July. It says it was a big service, and the next service was at 204,000 miles. However, I'm doing it at 201,000 because it's been a year or so since it's been 2 years since I got this car, and it's just been parked. So anyway, so I already put the 5 liters. I just have the 1 liter here, which I measured in this can, so I can put my 1 liter in there. Well, the last 1 liter of oil. You have also, obviously, you have your dipstick here, and the dipstick, let's give that a clean. Right, here's the dipstick, and you're gonna have these 2 marks here. So this end here will be the minimum and this will be the maximum. We aim to be at the max there, so it might be a little bit above the max, because usually after you run the engine, some of the oil goes to the oil filter housing and stays there. Okay, so this is, having said that, this is just at the max up here. So I'm not sure, 100% sure, if in this car the oil stays in the oil filter housing, but it usually does. Right, I'm happy with the level, and we're pretty much done here, so I'm going to remove that and remove that. And close that cover. Right, let's put this cover back on here as well. And now what I'm gonna do is start the car, and then I'm gonna get it up and check underneath for any leaks from that sun plug bolt. That's my aim. So let me try and get this car started. I think I need to press the brake. Okay, that's running fine, and it's obviously it's also giving me a maintenance overdue message there, because he was asking me for maintenance quite a while ago before it broke down, because it kind of broke down while it was parked. And believe it or not, the reason it broke down is because it ran out of fuel, even though the gauge there was showing me it had a quarter of diesel in it, but it didn't. So it's just cheating. Right, I'm gonna get it up and check for any leaks in the sun plug bolt. Right, so just have a quick look down here. That's my sun plug bolt. I can't see any drips at all. So that's why we want to leave this area nice and clean as well, because when you come back to it next year, then you can actually see if you have any minor leaks coming from that sun plug bolt. And so anyway, I'm gonna put my cover back on now and then lower the car. Right, so that sort of concludes today's repair. Now we're gonna have a look at resetting the service. Well, if I can reset it. I tried the other day, but I couldn't do it. I'm not sure the car knows whether it's been serviced or not. But I'm gonna give it a go today again, see if we can do it. So I'm just gonna shut the bonnet now. And let's go and have a look at this service reset. Well, put the key in, press the start button once. So after you press the start button once, press and hold this button, get the ignition on with the start button but without starting the car, release the ignition button, wait until the eye starts blinking 3 times, 1, 2, 3, release the T1, T2, and then your service overdue should be reset. So let me just start the car now, and we no longer have the message. You can also check, it says no vehicle messages, so you can read those messages from here, obviously, usually. So there's nothing there. Obviously, if I open the door, for example, you get the eye there, and then if you read messages, it will say door is open. So that's pretty much it. So I hope the video helps. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. So thank you for watching. Actually, the next video will be on the pollen filter. I'm gonna show you the location of the pollen filter, because I have all this area opened, and I'm also going to show you where the blower fan is, and I'll show you where the resistor, the hedgehog resistor, is. So keep tuned, and we'll see you on the next video. Thank you for watching.